she was very overzealous and she ripped it out with her teeth. She's like, and it sort of tore. And the next day it had swollen up to the size of and the appearance of like a purple grape. Proverbial boy here. The legend of Moody continues. We know you've been waiting for this with bated breath. And here we go, episode 7, season 1. I'm joined today with a special new guest, Alan from Behind the Stick Media. If you haven't seen his channel, I'd encourage you to check it out. He does reactions to the television program Bar Rescue, where this gorilla man named John Taffer takes failing businesses and attempts to revitalize them with a lot of disgusting, ludicrous discoveries along the way. And you can witness Alan have, I guess, what you might call a stroke.
Or aneurysm.
An aneurysm, yeah. An apoplectic fit, because Alan is a longtime bar industry veteran. You have a very entertaining channel. I'd encourage you to check it out, Behind the Stick Media. Alan also has been working with me for about 7 years or so, maybe almost 8 years, on my live infield programs as an assistant coach. So he brings a little bit of everything to the table today. Good to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Have you seen the Californication program before?
I've seen a few episodes.
Oh, really? So you're kind of coming into this almost sort of cold. You haven't really seen it. Like
I have an idea what the show is about, but I haven't followed it.
All right, great.
Too seriously.
So basically, it's another set of fresh eyes here. So let's check it out.
What is a marriage if not an opportunity to mock someone exploring your deepest, darkest sexual desires?
Yeah, well, I'll start discussing yours.
Yeah, like you could handle that.
Oh.
I want to do it with a girl. I hear it's nice, you know? But I wouldn't want to leave you out. It seems more, I don't know, honest that way.
Is she tooling with him?
So you think that she's messing with him?
Yeah, I think he's just...
I don't think she is. I think she actually wants to do it. Now, again, what remains to be seen is how he's going to screw it up. Yeah. You know, because that's sort of the theme here thus far with Charlie Runkel. Yeah. It's like he's this hapless imbecile, and he's undoubtedly going to screw it up. Now, we can talk about how I've seen, because I have extensive experience in these matters, as you may or may not know, but I've screwed it up myself many a time, and I've screwed it up. I've seen friends of mine screw it up, and I'd say that the biggest way that people screw up the whole "I want to have a threesome with my significant other, with my girlfriend," is they make it their idea, and then they come to me and they'll ask, "Well, Jeff, how do I convince my girl to do a threesome?" Well, the bare fact of the matter is, you kind of don't. You might suggest it, but you certainly can't push for it, because I've seen friends of mine, and again, I've kind of done this myself as well in the past, not to the extent I've seen friends do it, but who they pushed for it and pushed for it and pushed for it and pushed for it to the extent where they're like, this is almost like a deal breaker for me. That's the way that they put it. And eventually the girlfriend would acquiesce. She'd be, okay, yeah, I'll agree to do this. Maybe because they think it's a phase, or he won't really go through with it, or they love him and they want to, just make him happy. But ultimately, even if they went through with it, what I saw is subsequently this kind of poisoned the relationship, and it poisoned the dynamic, where they ultimately felt resentful about having kind of been coerced, for lack of a better term, into that. Not to mention all the jealousy issues that go into navigating the actual act itself. I'm just talking about the setup here. So it looks like Charlie, he's having it handed to him. But again, how will he? So again, the question remains: how will he navigate the subsequent pitfalls? Like I said, for me, so to answer the question, if you're one of these viewers who's like, well, how do I go about it then? Well, what I've done in the past, I just sort of threw it out there, and then basically I had one girlfriend who, she said, so yeah, I want to do that. Let's go out, and I know that you do this. I've heard about the stories of your past and this, that, and the next thing, and I'd like to go out and do this with you. And I'd be like, yeah, okay. And then I just wouldn't. And then a couple months later, she'd be like, yo, let's go out and do that. Let's go find someone to make a third. And I'd be like, yeah, okay. And I wouldn't. And then like several months passed until finally she's like, yo, do you want to go out and do this? I'm like, yeah. She's like, look, look, motherfucker, obviously you're all talk. I've been asking you about this for months. Like, just if you don't want to do it, just say you don't want to do it. And at that point I said, now you are ready. Right? It was like in Fight Club where they're standing out on the porch and he's like beating him with the stick. He's like, you're too old, you're too fat, you're too blonde, and your tits are too big. Get off of my fucking porch. And then like Jack, the narrator comes out, it's like, just stay here. No, you have to stay out here with that encouragement. So it has to be their idea 100%. So there's not like, I want to stave off the resentment right off the bat. And here's the thing, people say, well, I want my current person to do that. It's like, well, if they're not predisposed, then nothing you're going to do is going to convince them to do it. It has to be somebody who that's their actual internal desire, as opposed to, oh, I convinced them to do it. Because quite frankly, even the person you convinced to do it, even if it doesn't cause relationship problems, they're probably not going to be good at it. Because they need to be forthright. They need to take initiative. They need to be the one that initiates the process. And very often the ones who, like, it wasn't their idea, once you get out there, they're going to have a lot of difficulty even being in that position. Because let's face it, most women, quite frankly, they're used to kind of being the more, I guess, passive sort of receptive individual in these types of interactions, in romantic encounters, right? Like the guy comes up, he says this and that, I either say yes or no. So again, if you're convincing someone to do this, they're probably not going to have that temperament to begin with. But anyway, let's see what happens.
Wait, I wanted to add.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm actually, I think that she does want it, but she's also getting the baby tiger vibes from him. Like earlier, I think the recap said that, oh, I want to spice things up. I think she's looking down on him and say, oh, and I think that she does want to be with another one, but I don't think I think she's looking down on him like, oh yeah, sure you want it, but can you pull it off? That you said that you want to
spice. It's almost like a dare.
It's a dare, yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is, Runkle.
Don't you see what this means? This is a gift from on high. The whole thing was her idea. Oh.
Baby, where have you been?
Oh no, dude.
I was talking to Danny here. She's totally in.
Well, excuse me?
What?
Her, me, you.
Okay, Danny, could you give us just a second, please?
My belief is this secretary views the boss as a fool. Like, she was fired, she weaseled her way back into the good graces with like this sexual innuendo. She's a suicide girl, sent his like her profile to him, and then began this like quasi BDSM thing with him. This sort of like boss secretary, sub dom thing. And so he's been carrying on with her in the background. So again, let's put all of that aside. For her to show up at his work and enlist the secretary, this is the height of stupidity. Runkle's stupid for even getting involved with the secretary, but we get it because he's this simp who's in his scarcity mindset and a scarcity place, quite frankly, in this kind of like, unfulfilling marriage, blah, blah, blah. So he had no other options. He went to that. He was weak. Moody's horrified when he hears about this, when he walks in on them in the previous episodes, because he knows this is one of the dumbest things you can do. I mean, this is even far, far before the whole #MeToo movement. Like, but still, like, you don't shit where you eat. This isn't like he's working at like Starbucks, and if he has a problem with his employee or he bangs someone else at the restaurant or something, he gets fired. Oh, whoop-de-doo. You don't put that on your resume. Who gives a shit? He is an established agent in Hollywood working with like big name stars and stuff. Like, this could completely financially destroy him, like destroy his reputation, destroy his career. He'd be done. Now, Marcy, the wife, she doesn't know any of this, yet she's going in and suggesting that he put his and her livelihoods and financial well-being and at risk by bringing, this is just completely stupid. So again, do people do stupid things? Absolutely.
Especially in the restaurant and the bar industry.
Well, yeah. You want to tell a little bit about that?
All the time, and it's always...
I think that's kind of...
That's why I saw this and I'm like, wait, is this can't like...
Well, it's human nature, I guess. But it's funny because I think that a lot of times people don't understand like what goes on in the restaurant and bar industry. Basically, and confirm or deny this, everyone who's working there is having sex with each other and doing massive amounts of drugs.
a majority. Like, not everyone, but it's very. I mean, it's very. You hear stories all the time. You know, I'm just being honest. Like, you know, alcohol, drug usage, and a lot of coworkers do hook up, and it always has really bad consequences. Like, it does happen in like 9-to-5 jobs, but bars and restaurants, it happens disproportionately higher, even if it's not a bar that you work at. The thing is, everyone knows each other's, and you know, things like this, if the rumors spread around so fast.
Oh yeah.
This is, if this even goes through, then it's gonna be horrible. It's gonna.
And again, this simply underscores the absolute necessity of learning social skills, of learning how to be charismatic. So you don't need to go to these small pools and social circles and work your places of employment where it could become a problem down the line. Not just a little problem, a massive problem down the line. And not just could, is probable. It's probably going to be a massive problem. And again, I don't remember all the details. I personally watched this back when it first aired in like 2008 or whatever. But so I don't recall exactly what happens. But again, if I had never seen this, I'd be like, this is going to be a massive problem for the dude. A massive, massive, massive problem. Now, beyond that, I've also had experience where, and this is kind of funny, where rather what I do generally is if I'm in a relationship with someone and it's our MO to go out and meet other people to bring a third into the play, like a third girl into play, to, you know, bring back to the hot tub or whatever for some therapeutic times. Generally, I will not. It's going to be with a brand new person, right? There's going to be a brand new person that neither of us know, that we've never met before. In other words, a new friend, a stranger. It's not going to be someone in our social circle. It's not going to be somebody, I mean, even the work thing aside, it's not going to be someone that we knew before that we bring in. Because again, you're going to have to see them again. It could be an issue. And I remember one time I had broken up with my girlfriend, and my new girlfriend, she was also into doing this. And I had also done it with the previous girlfriend. And so I suggested that we call up my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And we do this, and we did, and it was a great time for that one night. But guess what then happened subsequently? They began hanging out together without me, and they began going to the ladies' night at the Lexington Club, and various other nights. And the next thing I knew, and you can read about this in my book, it's near the end, my girlfriend called me and she's like, I'm breaking up with you, and I'm moving in with Robin. And in fact, she's outside waiting for me right now. And then she left, and they moved in together, and then she dumped my ass. So again, I would not recommend doing that. Like, if you want to do it, come correct. Be real, be gangster, go out and meet new people. And again, in order to do that, you got to learn the skill set, right? You got to learn how to do it gangster, because that's really the only way to do it without causing all these negative ramifications in your life. And by the way, I can teach you that. Come on boot camp. Link in the description. So let's see what happens.
Have you lost your fucking mind?
This is perfect. It's exactly what we talked about.
Yeah, talk. That's my fucking secretary.
So?
A giant lawsuit.
Yep.
Oh, at least he's come to his senses on this.
Come on. You're not gonna do this for me?
Pick someone else. That's all.
Like who?
Who? I don't know.
Go out.
Somebody. And
They don't have
about
options.
Karen?
Yeah, they don't
That's
have
the
options.
problem.
The
They
Prim
only
Reaper?
know their own social
She's
circle.
so tall. Come on, baby. Please.
No.
I want the little one.
No.
She looks like she knows things. How do I look?
Good. You look good.
It's a very Charlie-centric episode.
You think she likes nuts? Maybe we should offer her some mixed nuts.
I don't know.
You think she's allergic?
I don't know. How the fuck should I know?
And I'm nervous. I'm nervous for
These
it.
things come up in casual conversation.
These are like total novice nerds that are like thrust into this situation. So it's interesting how they will navigate this. Because again, like somebody who's really experienced, they'll be like, all right, here's what I'm just going to do generally what I would normally do, except this time there's a third they're freaking out. They're losing their shit.
I don't really know very much about this girl.
Other than you think that she's fucking hot.
How am I supposed to respond to that?
This is sort of the thing that you're going to encounter if you get involved with this sort of thing. There's going to be little jealousy issues. And that's why a lot of these ground rules kind of need to be worked out beforehand. And relationships I had basically, and this is going to sound kind of coarse and a little crass perhaps, but kind of generally the agreement between us was we're going to go out, we're going to find this person, we're going to bring her into our life, and then after the fact, we're going to say bye-bye, and then they're going to go and we're going to be together high-fiving about how awesome we were together. So in other words, it's to enhance our relationship. It's not to like bring this other person into the relationship. I was always the one afterwards that was like, yo, let's go get something to eat. Let's go to the late night diner, or let's stay here and we'll go to brunch in the morning. And I remember one time I was like, late night diner, and the girl's like, yeah, that sounds great. And the girl's like, no. And I'm like, And then, so we're like, the car's coming. And then she said to the girl, she goes, put your shoes on. And the girl's like, but you guys aren't putting your shoes on. And she turns to the girl and says, you're the only one that needs shoes, honey. And gently pushes her out the door and closes the door behind her. And yo, to me, that was like the most ruthless comment ever. It's like, you're the only one that needs shoes, honey. And then never saw her again. So again, you're going to have to navigate. The biggest thing you're going to have to navigate is jealousy. And if you're doing this with your partner, you gotta reassure them that, you are the one that is the primary, has my primary attention, like I'm into you. This person is secondary. And again, I'm going to defer to whatever you want to do. Because again, otherwise you're going to have issues where there might be a big jealousy fight either during or after, one of the two, and it's not going to be a pleasant situation. So he's walking kind of a fine line here. It's like, you think she's hot? Well, obviously, yeah, because otherwise I wouldn't have her there. But like, are you in love with her? So again, he's got to tread lightly here.
But also, he's going to see her at work, regardless of what.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to make things even super awkward. And she's going to be working with him in the office, and she's going to be wondering what they're doing. She could get jealousy issues in that way as well.
Yeah, she's like, what are they doing right now?
Yeah, what are they doing? Are they having, yeah.
Oh, here she is. Oh, they're getting right to it. Suicide Girls. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
What? How come he's just observing? See, if you've never been in this situation before, you might not know how to navigate this. Like, he's like, oh, I'm just going to sit here fully clothed and observe. But the thing is, if you don't put yourself in there, you're going to, there's a again, not here because he's already hooked up with the girl, but there's a very distinct chance that you are going to be marginalized and you're going to be like sitting in the corner.
Like the third wheel watcher, no viewer that's not participating.
The viewer that's not participating. And this is the funny thing, because when I'm out, it's kind of like, people always ask, well, who should approach and introduce themselves to the girl you want first? You or your girlfriend? I always used to say, I have to go first, because otherwise, and then, well, there's a couple things at play here. Number one, I felt like I had to go first, because if the girl went in first, and then I came in and I'm like, oh, and I'm here too, and I'm here too. Like, you're just like this kind of simp, or not even a simp. You're like essentially a coward, making your girl do your dirty work for you. And look, it's real easy, because the girl can generally open anyone. Like, if a dude rolls up to somebody in a bar or a club, there's a chance that they're going to give you kind of that skeptical look, where they're like, oh, great, the next idiot of the night, another drunk guy hitting on me. But if a woman opens another woman, there's a tendency for them to be much, much more receptive to that, to an extent. But that's neither here nor there. Generally, I want to go in first. So, like, if I get to the social hook point, now I've established that I'm a cool guy, I'm, interesting, et cetera, I create that compelling vibe, and then bring my girl in. Now, again, you got to kind of time that, because if she comes in too early, they can be like, okay, couple, whoa, like, back away. I don't want to be the unicorn necessarily. But if she comes in too late, or like, I don't want to be with this, like this, again, this girlfriend, boyfriend dynamic, I don't want to get involved. But if she comes in too late, then she can be like, well, I'm interested in him. And now it's almost like she feels she has to battle your girlfriend. So you got to kind of time that. It's one of those play it by ear things that you can only really learn through experience. But here's the biggest takeaway as well. Before you even like say, okay, let's leave and go home, you must both of you must have attraction. In other words, the person that you're trying to bring home for this wonderful after party must be interested romantically in both of you, right? Because it's very easy for you to just go up, oh, she's interested romantically in my girl, not me. I'll work that out when I get back to the place. Well, very often you're going to be like Runkle here, but like, ass out. Or conversely, if she's interested in you but not your girl, then you get back, and then when your girl starts to attempt to get involved, she's like, what the hell is this? And it causes this big, huge problem. So again, this carries over to solo as well. If you're going out by yourself as well. I know a lot of people who, and I've done this mistake many, many a time. They bring someone home before that romantic attraction has been established. They're like, oh, it's going good. They're my friend. And I'll pull home with some sort of excuse like, oh, karaoke or the puppy or meet the thing, some like after party. I used to do this all the time. And then you get back home and then you attempt to kind of initiate that. And they're like, yo, what the hell? I'm going to leave. And they just leave. And then maybe they even steal something on the way out for your trouble. And by the way, this is another thing. He seems kind of nervous here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that it's one of those situations where it's a lot of guys, this is like a fantasy. It sounds good on paper. I heard Jeff talk about it. He said it's awesome. He said it's like driving 2 sports cars at once. And it is, but I got to tell you, the first time I got involved, I was like, oh, damn, this is like, now I'm really in it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one thing to have the fantasy. It's quite another when you're there, and especially if it's your first time. Like, think about the first time you had like normal sex. You're like, oh God, what do I do? What do I do? It's almost like a similar situation for many people, or like many of you might have had the situation where, or the experience where you hook up with somebody who is like much more attractive than you're accustomed to being with, and you get this kind of performance anxiety.
You're not gonna fist me or anything, are you? Because I'm not sure if I'm ready for that.
Morse.
Do you think we should include him somehow into your fantasy?
I don't know, there's something very amusing about this. Oh, damn, what's she doing?
Oh.
Here. Do with it what you will. This looks like it might hurt. That's kind of the point, isn't it? I mean, he's done some pretty bad things.
Ha!
I gotta get my camera this time.
Oh!
Fucker!
Okay.
You attached
Oh.
to the chain!
I know.
Just don't move!
Oh.
Get off your underwear! Ah!
That happened to me once, actually. Damn, I must have been, 19 or something like this. I went to some party, and there was a girl there who was a piercing like artist, and she was just piercing people at the party. And I was crazy back then. I was probably on drugs or some shit. I was like, you know what? Yeah, pierce my nipple. And this chick just pierced my nipple at this party. And I was like, dude, this is fucking cool. Like, by the way, terrible piercing. Like, it's one of the most painful piercings that you can get, from what I understand. And then so, like, I don't know, maybe a year later or something, I was like, well, I wanted to match, so I had both of them. Well, within a year, I was at another party and I met this girl, and we went upstairs. She was very overzealous, and she ripped it out with her teeth. She's like, ah, and like it sort of tore. And the next day it had swollen up to the size of and the appearance of like a purple grape. And then it was so like torn, I just had to take it out because I was like, dude, this is fucked up. And so I took it out, and then that had to heal. And then the other one ended up slowly working itself, like the body slowly rejected it, and it grew out over a period of 10 years until like at one morning I could like literally see the metal through like a thin skin on my nipple. I was just like, take this shit out. And so
It pushed it out?
the body rejected it over a period of 10 years. So if you're considering getting a nipple piercing, take a lesson from your uncle here, and you probably won't like it, and you'll probably regret it. But you know, it was the late 90s, and it was very in vogue to do at the time, piercings. Everyone was piercing everything. But yeah, buyer beware.
I'm in considerable fucking pain here.
I'm sorry, Nipple. She's an interesting girl, though, that one. Fantastic ass.
What are your big takeaways from this episode? What would you say?
Most people are bored with their own sex lives. I think both the husband and the wife, they do really want to, spice up their sex life, but when they tried it, it just didn't work.
I think that this is a rare instance where Californication is art imitates life here, because most people, they would agree that having a healthy sex life is an absolutely essential part of being a healthy, functioning adult. However, they ostensibly, or at least they give it lip service. However, as we've seen, especially in more recent times, most people's sex lives have become increasingly dysfunctional. We see people who are even opting out, with these entire incel and red pill communities, and then the femcells, and it's just becoming, again, increasingly dysfunctional. People bemoaning the rise of Tinder and lowered attention spans and materialism and this, that, and the next thing. I mean, they're like, I'm going to take my ball and go home because I don't like the rules of the game. So I'm not going to play the game. Like, I'm just not going to play. It's like, if you learned things about communication, if you learned how to communicate effectively, you would be able, none of these issues or obstacles that have arisen, purportedly at least. I mean, because again, this game's been around for millennia. It's like, did it really change that much because the internet or because of Instagram or any of this nonsense? It's like, are we going to override millions of years of evolution, biological imperatives, because now somebody can like look at their phone and compare themselves to a photoshopped person or XYZ, whatever nonsense. Hypergamy, it's like, you don't think hypergamy has been around since the dawn of fucking time to one degree or another? It's like, learn how to play the damn game. Like, I don't like the parameters. At least you know what the fucking parameters are. Most people don't. And so they live these lives of quiet desperation, essentially, for lack of a better term. So again, this is why it's absolutely imperative that you learn this stuff, because otherwise you're looking at essentially a fate worse than death here, where you're just trapped in this clown show of sexual, not a fantasy, but a nightmare, a sexual nightmare. And not just that, just trying to go out and make friends as an adult is difficult if you don't know how to communicate in a way where you can introduce yourselves to people in a nightlife environment or a party where you don't know anybody, and be effective and have people be like, okay, I view this person in a favorable light. I want to hang out with this person. And these are the skills that I've dedicated, again, 20 years of my life to learning, and also dedicated 20 years of my life on learning how to impart to others in a very efficient and expedient manner. And, I do that through a variety of things, through the mentoring, which again, you can see links for all these in the description below. And then of course the live in-field trainings where I actually take you out. I demonstrate at the drop of a hat how to do it in real time so you believe it's real. I push you to do it and guide you along. I give you very detailed and instructive, descriptive feedback that gives you the tools necessary to make the desired change. So I'm going to be traveling all over the United States this year. You can check the dates in the description below, in the comment below. Go to jeffyinperson.com. I'd love to have you on one of these programs. Again, I've been doing it for 20 years. I'm really, really good at it. If you want this to be the year that you get this handled so you don't end up like Runkle, hit that link in the description, and I'll see you live in the field. This has been Jeffy and Alan, and we'll see you next time.
Jeffy.